This is about delivering a win for Canada and ensuring that our borders are safer, our communities are safer, and of course, we're responding to some of the concerns that have been posed by the White House.
No, sir, this is a lose for Canada. And don't take my word for it. Let's listen to CBC At Issue and see them tear this bill up. Hey, hello, my name is Vuyo. This is UnPontificated, and we're going to go right there.
Althea, I'll start with you because you did write about it, and the deeper you look at the legislation, the more you start to raise some questions about what the bill is trying to do and whether it's in fact going beyond the scope of what the minister was talking about there.
I think it's such an enormous bill. It's 140 pages. It amends more than a dozen laws, has 16 parts. And I think we need to go beyond the headlines on this bill, because the things that the government says that this bill is about, I don't think most people will find them controversial when it comes to, like, how you classify drugs, for example, and some of the powers that you're giving authorities to crack down on organized crime. But the government, public service, whoever you want to ascribe motive to, law enforcement agencies, have clearly used this opportunity to sneak things in here that have been vetoed by lawmakers previously in at least 2 or 3 different parliaments, because they were seen as going too far. I mean, some of the measures in this bill date back to Vic Tave's era under the Stephen Harper government, where it was like you're either with us or you're with the child pornographers, because they were lowering the bar so low to get access to your personal information online. It's not just about what's online. There are things here that, to me, make, like, frankly, no sense and are a real dangerous slippery slope, and I worry that there's not enough public scrutiny on it. For example, you can ask, like, your internet service provider to hand over your information voluntarily, any information they legally hold about you, and the government will protect them from being criminally or civilly sued. They don't have to get a warrant. They can just ask for it. And these are heavily regulated industries, so they would have an incentive to just be like, okay, well, I don't want to cause any problems with the government. It's just filled with little examples like that throughout the bill. And
this actually reminds me of the vaccine makers, the Pfizers and those guys who can just make a vaccine and they're immune from being sued if the vaccine kills people. It's outrageous. This bill cannot pass.
And you realize what it means when there is no NDP, for example, there to raise the concerns, because some of the things that were raised and were not passed were because of the NDP and the Bloc in previous parliaments. Yeah,
I mean, it is remarkable that those things that Althea is talking about there, Chantal, are conservative. They're conservative ideas, policy ideas that didn't make it through in Stephen Harper's government being brought back here. I mean, you can like them or hate them, but they are stolen or borrowed from a previous conservative government.
I'm told by people who know better than I do that the civil service, as it should, looking at the probability of a conservative government, did draft a few bills, and that they provided the canvas for legislation such as this one. But it is clearly a Trojan horse legislation, and I find that very troubling. Beyond the substance, I totally agree with Althea on the substance. I am troubled by the notion that we have a new government that believes that it should introduce such measures under the guise of reinforcing the border. It speaks to the opposite of transparency, wanting to have debate and get to the best legislation for Canadians. This one infringes on privacy rights in a way that no legislation I've seen before come forward, and it is not even the point of the bill.
No. It does make me wonder, too, Andrew, whether what you said was right, whether some of this is something that the U.S. is asking for, and it's an attempt to placate them. But I have no idea if that's true.
It's hard to know where this comes from. It certainly wasn't talked about in any great detail before this. No. You do get the feeling this was sort of on the shelf somewhere because there's a permanent element of the bureaucracy that's always pushing for this kind of thing, particularly the law and order part of it. But it's not just the, warrantless demands for information about internet subscribers or letting Canada Post open your mail or, the various privacy concerns, as real and pressing as they are. I think I'm equally troubled by the stuff on the refugee side. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a precept of this country and of other law-abiding democracies that we don't deport people without a hearing. I don't care whether you've been here 2 weeks or a year. You have your right as a basic human right to have your day in court, to be heard if you're going to be sent back to some country where you argue you're in fear for your life. So, I mean, this is what they're talking about in the United States. This is the stuff that people are up in arms against Donald Trump for. So for us to be picking this particular moment, to be introducing legislation that would allow for asylum claimants to be sent back without a hearing, to be deported back to the United States under the Safe Third Country Agreement, when it is clear to me and it's clear to a lot of other people that the United States is no longer a safe third country. I think we ought to look at these things very carefully. I'm not saying there aren't problems at the border. I'm not saying there might be worse problems as people come flooding up, fleeing the United States. There's obviously management issues there about how we control the flow. But simply throwing our hands up and saying, we're not going to give you a hearing, we'll make a sort of a, the feel of our elbow decision about whether or not you're at risk if we send you back, that doesn't sound like my Canada.
A little bit of a issue there with Andrew. I mean, we're talking about like legal asylum claimants is one thing. Yes, they need a hearing. But someone who comes in illegally, there could be, I think there's a nuance there as to whether or not they require a hearing. Because I mean, coming to a country illegally, we do have borders. So I do see where you can just send someone back if they've come in illegally. But certainly, yeah, legal asylum claimants need a hearing, and that's the kind of candidate that I definitely want for sure. You can go and check out this bill. Let me see here. I think if you go to parl.ca. Check out House of Commons. Check out find a bill. This one, find a bill. And bills in the current session. Let me read it up. Not that one. But all these bills are here. Here it is. C-2, an act representing certain measures relating to the security and border of Canada and the United States and respecting to other matters. This is completed the first reading on June 3rd, and is in progress at the second reading. And this is a bill that needs to be rewritten fast. As Althea said, it is 140 pages long. It is very long. Clearly we'll not be going through it, and yeah, you need a cup of coffee and a sit down to read this puppy. But there you have it, Bill C-2, terrible bill. I don't know why these liberal governments, any governments of any kind. I'm a small government guy. Government, get out of my life. Just keep the country safe. Keep the, make sure that people who are hard done by, as in are criminally harmed, like the judicial system is sound. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. So we need a sound judicial system. We need the country to be safe. So we need good police, we need good lawyers. We need systems that are fair, so there's no collusion in businesses and things like that. That's what we need. But otherwise, get out of my way. Let me live my life. And now you guys want to, this is a Strong Borders Act. Okay, great. We need strong borders. But now you're throwing things in there. Trojan horse in there, as Andrew Coyne said, throwing other things in there to hide them in. Oh, goodness. Well, I hope our legislators do a good job, our senators do a good job of scratching things out and sending this bill back, and it doesn't pass. It's terrible. What do you guys think? Go read Bill C-2 if you want to, but I think when you have CBC journalists or commentators and pundits slamming this bill, it can be good. It can be good. Like and subscribe for more if you like this content. See you guys next time.